Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another TEPSA Presents, our bi-monthly episodes that we look to bring you over a variety of topics. My name is Todd Nesloni, and I'm the Director of Culture and Strategic Leadership here at the Texas Elementary Principals and Supervisors Association. I am so stinking excited about today's conversation, as well as my special guest today, who is Principal Katrina Collins. Katrina, thank you so much for being here. Kind of tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Hello, Todd. Hello, TEPSA and everyone listening. I'm Katrina Collins. I'm principal at Skyview Elementary, Richardson ISD. We're nestled in the heart of the Lake Highlands area. I'm a Tyler, Texas native, so you'll hear a little bit of that East Texas twang as I speak. This is ending my 23rd year in education, and I am persuaded that if you do not love what you do, skip out and go do Avon or something where maybe you don't impact children. But if you're not passionate about impacting the lives of children and their parents, you should not stay another day in education. I love the hard schools. In Richardson ISD, I have worked at some of our high needs elementary campuses, Adelia Creek Elementary, Forest Lane Elementary, Dover, now Skyview, and I just love this work.
Well, I have been really looking forward to talking with you today, and I'm really passionate and excited about today's conversation as well, which is all about being more inclusive as a school, whether that's with parents or students or staff or anything else. And, you know, over the last 6 months to a year, there's been a national spotlight shown on how much work we have to do as humans about being more inclusive and understanding and allies and everything else. And so I recently, well, before we get into that, let me go to this route. When did this topic become something that was close to your heart? Because I know from seeing some of your work and from talking to you a little bit that this is something that is super important to you. So when did it become that kind of a driving force for you?
I think it was twofold. My very first school that I worked at long term, it was a very affluent school. And then I switched gears and ended up at a school with a very high level of economically disadvantaged. And one thing's rung true by the time I reached the 8th year. It wasn't the economics. It was not necessarily anything to do other than parent expectations, because I saw some of my affluent parents did not have that same level of high expectations, and I saw some scholars underperforming. And then when I switched gears and first reached Richardson ISD, I had one grandmother, and this is what she told me. You have my 4th grade granddaughter. I am raising her. Her mom's not in her life. Her dad's not in her life. But let me tell you, she's smart. I'm not going to let her make excuses. She may show up upset one day, but that is not acceptable. She knows I want her to achieve high. And let me tell you, that young lady achieved so high. And so it dawned on me, it doesn't matter if there's a 2-parent household. It doesn't matter the economic status. If parents have a high level of expectation for the scholar, and if they do not, then that's your role as the educator, is to bring the level of importance up, because then the scholar follows suit based on what the household expectations are.
You know, what I love about listening to you talk, and you and I talking before this went live as well, I love your continual use of the word scholar. Where did that come from when you decided you wanted to call your students that?
I've learned that words have power. I've learned that word choice is very important. And I found early on telling scholars, don't do that, or that is not what's allowed, didn't really work. I would have to say that would be great if you were a football fan, but right now you are a scholar in my class. That would be awesome if you were in band and you were working to be a musician because you're drumming on the desk. But right now I need you to be a scholar. So we just talk to them, you know, when they walk into Skyview, that the moment you walk in, you are a scholar, and I'm asking you to think about conflicts, think about what your teacher's putting before you. But right now, your role is to be a scholar. Mm-hmm. And that way I'm not demeaning their household. I'm not demeaning what's happening at the apartment, but I need you to be a scholar.
Well, and I love what you said there about making sure when you're talking to your students about behavior choices and things they're doing and saying things like, that would be okay if you were at a football stadium right now, or if you were here, but right now you're being a scholar and here's what I expect from you. But you said something else there that really resonated with me. And you said, I know that words are important. Words matter and hold value. And Katrina, I recently saw, and the reason I invited you today was something you shared in the Principals group on Facebook. And it brought tears to my eyes. I just thought it was so beautiful. I could feel your joy radiating out of it. And I love that you just shared it out there too, knowing that, hey, this isn't perfect. This isn't going to be exactly right. But hey, here's what I'm doing for my students. So I want you to tell everybody listening what I'm talking about.
Well, I have a little cheat sheet, and if you'll see right there, it's just the list of languages, but it's definitely not how to say them. And I'll go through that, but then I'll tell you what's the message behind it. So I have it a habit, and I've had this in about 3 buildings that I've been in, and I tell the scholars, as Title I scholars, we're not going to hope things happen. We're going to make things happen. You have the power to change your trajectory. So I make it a point to try to make my rounds. It takes me about 8 minutes to walk in every classroom and say, make it a great day. Make it a great day. You'll never hear Ms. Collins say, have a great day, because you have to do your part. Well, we had 2 scholars last year. Long story short, they were 6th grade. Very hard for them to acclimate. By the end of about week 3 of the school year, they had been in a couple of physical altercations. People were making fun of their haircuts. They weren't Americanized, just honest. Well, we had an event where we tried to engage with the families at a local apartment. So we're at this event. It's a Saturday. We have bounce houses for the children. We have people from my church that did little facials for the moms. We had dominoes and Madden for the dads. Well, these 2 young men were exiting. And this was the first time, Todd, I saw them smile. And they said, bye, see you Monday. And I was like, I wanted that moment to last forever. Yeah. And I said, come back across the street. Talk to me. And I assumed the wrong way. They were both African, that they were both from the same country, spoke the same languages. And they didn't educate me that no, they didn't. And I said, wait, help me. How do I say goodbye in your language? And they both collectively spoke Swahili. And so they told me, I tried it, butchered it. It was not good, but they smiled. And I'm thinking, I want that moment to last forever. Monday morning, I find them in the middle of the hallway in 6th grade. And I said, okay, guys, I'm going to try it one more time. They laughed. And I said, wait, I'm about to go do the morning announcements. How do I say, make it a great day in Swahili? Well, they're telling me, and my mind's just like, I can't. And I said, well, come with me to the announcements. Help Miss Collins say it. Well, they get their Todd. And I said, wait, let's take this up a notch. Tell the school what your names are, your grade levels, your home country, and what language you speak. Well, I found out in that moment they each spoke 4 different home languages fluently. And so I said, now teach me. Those young men walked out of the office. Their heads were held high. They had a whole different level of esteem. The next couple of days, I'm walking in 6th grade. I see children asking them questions like they wanted to know more about those scholars. So then that turned into every hallway. Miss Collins, I can teach you in Pashto. I can teach you in Arabic. So different kids became my language coach. And I started to do the morning announcements and closing it with make it a great day. And I would give kudos to the language coach, the scholar that taught me, or even staff member. And I would say, okay, class, school, you hear Miss Collins, I'm going to try Arabic for the first time. It won't be well, but with intentional rehearsal, just like you do with your video games and the TikTok videos that you want to learn, you don't practice it. You all use intentional rehearsal and then you nail it. So we have to do it. So let's see, it's in almost 15 home languages. Make it a great day. Swahili, Desaneza somu mazuri. In Spanish, que tengan un buen día. In Pashto, hak data resquadale. In Urdu, Issa ek achal dimbanahi. In Arabic, Ajahu Yomen Ryan Lathanium. In Persian, Rose Hush. In Nepali, Dabain Din Subara Hush. In Amharic, Milkam Khan. In Portuguese, Masilo, Mazia, Mazila. In Afrikaans, Maktak Abandalektak. In Tagalog, Going Etong Esong Magandang Rayo. In Yoruba, Shoni Ojo Alogo. In Farsi, Rosie Hob Dash Bashing. In Japanese, I'm still learning that one, and so is the French. I stop. But I try to tell them as I do the intentional rehearsal and learn it, you can learn your fact or your multiplication facts, and you can also learn your fluency words because we're scholars.
Let
And
me tell you, I am bowing down to you right now. That was phenomenal. And and before we went live, you and I were talking about something, and it really resonated with me while you were saying all those languages. Is I think people can listen to this conversation and go, "Wow, Katrina is fantastic," but I don't know how to pronounce that. I don't want to offend anybody. Da, 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 da. But one thing that I found as a principal is when I would go into my bilingual classes and read books in Spanish, I didn't always get it right, but they ate it up and they loved correcting me and all kinds of stuff, but they loved the effort. And you were telling me too that the kids don't even care if you mess it up, and the parents don't even aren't offended if you say it wrong, because they see your intentional effort. And I love that you said that too, because I think that that's where people can watch this and go, you know what? I can try that. I can do this. So I've got to ask you though. I'm sure somebody's going to come up at some point and say, "Well, what if you left somebody out? What are you going to do?" Or the other question I would say is, I know you said Japanese and French. Are those the next two you're learning?
yes, and I have a teacher that's working on teaching me Russian.
Oh my goodness.
And so I try to leave it open. And once I master what's on this roster, I say, okay, scholars, who's going to be my next language coach? And so it surely comes around, and we have 31. And before there's ever an exit of me in Skyview, I want to attempt the 31. And I think it's just so indicative of now the staff also see it's okay to take a calculated risk.
Yeah.
It's okay to, and there's sometimes where when I get stuck on one, I'll go, "Oh my goodness, Shanice, in 6th grade, I just butchered your Japanese. I'm trying." And the kid just had a chance to hear their name. How validating is that? Once, Todd, we did a run of theme songs from the 80s. And it ties to this same piece of being inclusive. But I thought, wait, different strokes, that's us. And if you think about the words to that sitcom, it says, it takes different strokes to move the world. We're all so different in the way we think, in the way we learn. They're visual learners, there's auditory learners. And so we played that. And of course, the veteran teachers were jamming it. For the scholars, I was like, team, we recognize Skyview's different and we embrace it because it takes different strokes to move the world.
Well, and it's what you just said there too, that even by attempting their language, you're validating them. You're allowing people to feel like, maybe I do belong here. I don't feel so othered in this moment, because I'm sure for many of those kids, that's the first time that language has been spoken at that school, and or any school for that matter. And that's powerful. And I'm sure, do you have some of your staff members also trying to learn some of that too?
Well, there's a kindergartner, and he almost has me mimic to the core. He can do about 12 of them. And he says the language, and in Portuguese, and I have to get him one day, maybe on video with me with his parents' permission, but he almost has it nailed. And, we just try to state to them, if someone shows up in class that's a little different in the way they learn, speak, dress, or look, ask the questions rather than poking fun, because you may learn a lot about that person's house and culture and get excited to leave and figure out more. So we don't run that we're different with 31 home language. We embrace it.
Well, you also shared at the beginning of this conversation the idea of going in to the community and renting a bounce house and facials for the moms and dominoes and Madden for the dad. I mean, I love that you put intentionality into thinking about what it wasn't just like we're going to show up and play games. It's like, no, we were intentional about some of the things we were going to offer. So I've got to know, this year has thrown us off like no other when we can't gather in the same types of ways that we have. So how have you kind of shifted things up to try to bring people together or have that inclusivity even though we have that distance?
Let me tell you, it's been a challenge and a heartbreaking challenge,
Yeah.
to go to the community and because I think the biggest piece of that is that it's all volunteer. I tell staff, if Saturday mornings engaging with people is not for you, you're not hurting my feelings,
Yeah.
but they have to feel us and that we want to be there. This year, we haven't had that true opportunity to really be there. We've had a few drive-through moments where I'm corny. We did Cheez-Its, say cheese with the principals, and we gave out Cheez-Its
I
um,
love
for,
it.
for our back to school. We used to do cookies with Collins, where once a month I just did an open forum with parents and the community because we're trying to braid the two. Lake Collins, my houses right in front of the campus and like in adjacent streets, there are $400,000 homes. Most of those taxpayers and stakeholders, their kiddos are college adults and out.
Yeah.
And so the majority of, I'd say 95% of our student population comes from neighboring apartments. So the cookies with Collins moments once a month, when we used to be to have those on site, it was my attempt to bring the homeowners association members and our parents in the same space to talk because it was kind of a us versus them when I first
Right.
entered Skyview. Thankfully, Todd, we were able to bring both teams in the room and a member, he's like a pseudo staff member at this point, retired gentleman, children are longer in school. He was able to advocate for us 4 additional crossing guards. Let me say that one more time. 4 additional. So to bring the parents in the room and to meet the face of a retiree that advocated with City of Dallas for 4 additional crossing guards, kind of let the tension out of we all just want what's best for your scholars, and bridge them together. In the COVID moments, we've had a couple of drive-through reading nights where we give away book bags and we dressed in the costumes. So it's been at this point, due to Dallas County restrictions, the drive-through moments.
Yeah.
Prior to that, we did a lot of in-person things.
Yeah, and it's so hard, especially for those of us that are in elementary and middle school, and we're used to that physical interaction because as elementary and middle school administrators and teachers, we're so physical with our students and their families that it is challenging. But you said something in there that I loved because, I think sometimes when we use words like inclusive or diversify, we have a particular train of mindset that we go to. But I love that our conversation today is about being more inclusive. And what you just shared there about those cookies with Collins moments and inviting the homeowners association who had no students at your school and the families to come together, that's an inclusive opportunity as well. Because just like what you shared, had you not done that and that gentleman not been part of those conversations, you would not have those 4 additional crossing guards. And so the possibilities are endless. But I guess to kind of wrap this up and give our people a good takeaway, what would you say to an administrator who's here today going, Katrina, it's February. I am spinning 100 plates right now. I really want to do some of these ideas, but I don't even know where to begin. What's a piece of advice you would give them?
Do you have the opportunity to perhaps share screen that one picture, the big 3 rocks?
Yes, let me get that up. Which one did you want me to share?
The big 3 rocks, and I'll tell you the why.
Yes.
What Todd is bringing up is what Skyview rests on. And it was about February of my first year as an admin that I landed on this. And I didn't land on this on
And can
my
you see it?
own. And there we are. So what ended up happening? So Todd says, I'm spinning a million plates. Where do I go? First year at Skyview, 3 years ago, I was spinning the plates and up late and staying. And I thought, what's happening right now? And a principal had asked me, what are your big three? What do you stand for? What does your staff know you're all about? And I thought, crickets, crickets, crickets. I stand for a lot. I'm all over the place. I'm full of words. And that stuck with me for a long time. And finally, I thought, oh, I get it. What do we rest on? Like, no matter what programs come through, what do we rest on? So I would say to an admin that's spinning the plays and trying to get a handle on all the pieces, keep it simple. What I stood before the staff at the very end of year one, and Todd, I never thought I'd ever have the courage as a building principal to do this, but I did. And I said, team, it's interesting to work for a building leader. Like, you want to know their heartbeat. You want to know what is the rhythm. And I said, here are our big three. Research-based instructional delivery. What we deliver will be pieces that our parents will know are research-based because we're trying to close educational gaps. Next, we're going to work on the SEL. And that's what you see in those moments where we're embracing the scholar and the adult. As teachers, it's a hard job. I get it. But that very last one, that we will foster strong homeschool connections. And when I told the staff at the end of year one, with the courage that was all in me, and I had to muster it all up, and I said, this is who I am as a leader. And all the years I'm at Skyview, you get the opportunity that if I implement a new program, if I say a new event we're doing, you get the opportunity to say, how does that fit into our big three rocks? If it doesn't, we're majoring in the minor things, and I will be the first to say, it doesn't fit, let's pull it out.
Right.
And so that very last one that you see, fostering homeschool connections, year one, Todd, we were not here as a staff. Year one, when I walked into the building, we had field trips. Everyone assumed the librarian and any other staff member that wasn't connected to a classroom were going on the field trips. And I said, why is that our practice?
Right.
Our parents don't care. Our parents don't go on field trips. And I said, let's stop and unpack. Parents don't care. I am a wage earner hourly. You have asked me 2 weeks in advance to attend a field trip. So you've now double taxed me because you're asking me to volunteer my time, which means I'm not earning hourly wages, and you've asked me to pay for a field trip. Staff, I close the calendar, Todd, on September 1st. Everything you want to do as a grade level is on our calendar by September 1st. Now you have ample time to communicate with every parent your wishes for field trips. Todd, end of year one, we started the year with no one goes, parents just don't have time, to I'm getting on the bus. Anyone that was around knows, true story. Our fourth graders were like, ooh. And I was so afraid to send them to Six Flags. I thought, okay, I'm going to call corporate Six Flag managers. I got on the bus, true story, no more smiling, to read them their rights. Like, this is what will happen at Six Flags and won't. There were 8 parents on every bus. Wow. And I walked on the bus and I thought, parents, thank you for coming. Scholars, this is going to be a great field trip. Not one behavior concern. Later, when they returned from Six Flags, I asked the fourth grade team, I said, how did you do that? And they said, Ms. Collins, you told us we have to get with parents early. We started communicating about that May Six Flags trip, Ms. Collins, in February. We pulled the parents in, and it was an enjoyable experience. So I would say to any principal, spinning the plates, figure out your big three, make it a pledge to yourself. We have that big three poster all over Skyview. It
Mhm.
greets parents in the front office. It goes home with parents at the beginning of every year.
I
We
love that.
also created a teacher profile because my leadership team, we figured out what works for our building because we're so diverse and
Mhm.
what doesn't. All of this is very transparent before you sign on for the job so that we can keep the main thing the main thing. And Dr. Bino in our district says that often. I have to give her kudos for that. So, any aspiring admin, any current principal, I would just say find your big three and base that on the needs of your building.
Right.
Communicate that and be very transparent to your current staff. Is this what you're signing on to? Todd, we had like 19 that left year one.
Wow.
And I said, this is who I am. You want to
Yeah.
know how to please me as a leader? This is it.
You
And
laid
if
it
this,
out there.
and if
Mhm.
this is not you, I understand and there's no shame.
Yeah.
I would say then next, get you a mentor if you're spinning all the plates, someone that can help you compartmentalize the plates.
Mm.
I had Dr. Darwin Spiller as my admin those first 2 years. I have Shauna Ballas now so that they can help you prioritize those plates
Right.
because some of those plates that you're spinning and keeping you up may not be the main thing.
Mhm.
And Todd, I'm going to be real transparent as well. I started posting in that principal group because I almost left that principal group. I
Mm.
started noticing the exhaustion, the I'm tired, the why do I do this, the woe is me. And I thought I have to put the positive into this role that we do.
Right.
Because this is, I told anyone that I mentor at church or any other organizations, this is the best career in the world,
Mhm.
period. And I'm not going to let anyone give a public perception that public school is not winning and principals don't care. And so I started dropping a few things in there, including the languages, to maybe hope it would brighten someone's day to say, okay, she doesn't do the Spanish just right, or wow, what just happened? Because I want principals to remember this is that good thing that we signed up for.
Yeah.
Find that way to make it joyful. Some mornings, Todd, it's what crazy socks will I wear today? Just to look down and tell my own self, you don't match. What a
Yeah.
mess. But spinning the plates, keep the main thing the main thing. Find your big three. Have your staff and your leadership team that call you on. That's not really our big three. Why are we doing that? And remember why you were hired.
Yeah.
You were hired to problem solve and collaborate.
Mhm. Well, I gotta tell you, you posting it in that group lightened up my day so much and brought such a huge smile. And when I was like, I wonder if she's a TEPSA member, and I was like, oh, she is. I'm so excited. She's one of ours. I gotta have her on to come talk about this. And so you are doing incredible work. You said so many powerful takeaways today, even for me, that I want to really go and digest on. So thank you for all that you are doing from everybody here at TEPSA and everybody statewide and countrywide who's getting to watch this right now and learn from you. Thank you for coming on and sharing some of your brilliance.
Thank you, Todd, for having me. And I just love what I do.
And thank you, everybody, for joining another one of our TEPSA Presents. Remember, you can check us out every other week at 7 p.m. Central right here on our Facebook page or our YouTube. You can go watch all the past episodes there as well, or go check out our TEPSA Talk podcast, where these are also uploaded. See you again in 2